Hi everyone, in this video I want to share with you how you can use the fee waiver cover letter to the home office template that I have created for you so that when you submit your fee waiver application, you can submit with it your cover letter. So in front of you is the template that I've created, but before we go and dive in, let me just explain quickly what cover letter is. So when you make an application, it's usually a good idea to include a cover letter. So a cover letter is your letter to the home office explaining why you are making this application. So it can be any application, but for this purpose, it's the fee waiver. So each application is unique. Each circumstances are different. So I may have a client who has two children, or who is applying on his own or on her own because he or she can't afford to apply for pay for the home office fees. And so um, when you complete the application form, it doesn't have a space where you can explain why you are making the application. It doesn't allow you to expand on your answer, for example. So the cover letter is a good idea to include all those points that you want the home office to consider, you want the home office to know. And so this is the purpose of the cover letter. So let's go dive in. Okay, so here the top part here, it's usually where you put your full name, your address, and your postcode, and also you insert the date. So these are highlighted because to remind you that you need to insert your details there. Okay, and then it says to whom it may concern. Dear sir, madam, my application for fee waiver request. So here, I'm writing in support of my application for fee waiver request. And then on the next paragraph, you can introduce yourself. So I am the main applicant, or you can say, if you're only applying and you don't have children, you can just say I am the applicant. And I am the applicant, and this one I should also put on yellow, so you can change I am the main applicant in this application. Or if you are the only one applying, then you don't even need to include this second paragraph. And then it says, this is my first time applying for fee waiver. I am unable to pay for the home office fees and immigration health surcharge because my income is not enough to cover the expenses. And then I explain my limited leave to remain expires on, and then you insert the date here. When does your limited leave to remain expires? And then it's full sentence. I confirm that I receive, it depends on whether you're receiving government support benefits. If you don't, then you need to delete that. I confirm I do not work. So for example, you are unable to work because of illness, but you still have to renew your visa. And then you can say, here are my financial details. And then if you're renting, I'm renting a house and pays whatever amount of rent, but my salary barely covers the rent, if that is the case. Okay. And then here, it's an example. So when I actually took this letter from a client that I wrote on her behalf. So she has 3 children. So one child is from a different father, and actually he's an American citizen, the child, and the other 2 children are Romanian citizens. So you would think that they are covered by the EU. They're EU nationals, and therefore they should be covered under the European settlement scheme. But they're not, because the father did not consent to them having passports, and so she has to apply for all of them. So you will see that there's reference on the children, but so bearing in mind, like I said, it is always, so your case, each case is always different, and so I cannot come up with a letter template that will include all the circumstances. So you can read this letter and then do your own letter, but make sure that your letter covers all the points that you want to explain, such as your immigration history, your financial circumstances, and say something like, I've lost my job, or whatever that is. You need to include it to so that the Home Office has full picture of your financial circumstances. And what you have to remember is, if you are actually going to if you are going to include the cover letter, make sure that you also need to uh, include the bank statements that's required to show that you don't have any money. Okay. So let's go back to the letter. So it says, I am renting a house and pays, this amount of rent, but my salary barely covers my rent. If that's the case, then write it. And then I said, example text, as a result of receiving benefits, I am in a position to feed my children and place a roof over their head. However, I simply do not have any money to pay for the home office fee and immigration health surcharge for the four of us. Typo. I have no family in the UK and do not have any friends who can lend me any money to pay for the fees. So this here, I have no family in the UK and do not have any friends who can lend me any money to pay for the fees. I've included it there because the Home Office, although the Home Office policy guidance would have been amended by now to include, to explain that you can apply for fee waiver if it's clearly that you can't afford it. But you will have probably immigration caseworkers. They probably will expect you to borrow money from friends and family. And so if you have no family in the UK, or if you have family but they're also in difficult position, then include it there. So you have no family, or you have family but they're also struggling with money and do not have well-paid jobs. You don't have any friends, and usually in these cases, if you have migrated to the UK, it will be very unlikely that you will have many friends whom you can rely for financial support. You'll be extremely lucky if you are in that position. But you can include this phrase, I have no family and who can lend me money to pay for the fees. And then I've said, explain why you are in financial difficulty. So it may be that your job is you found a job but doesn't pay enough. You have a lot of financial obligations, and it can be like, for example, in this client that I have, she's a single mom. She has 3 children. She doesn't receive any support from the father of the first child, or from the father of the 2 children, and she's decided to go to college to get qualifications so she can get a job and have income. But she's on benefits, and unfortunately she had to repay the benefits that she's received. For some reason, there was some kind of adjustment on her benefit income, and so she was required to repay all of them. And so we have to set out the debt. So here are the following outstanding liabilities. That can be money that you owe from people. Okay, so it could be credit card debts, it could be rent arrears, it could be credit card debts, it could be bank loans. So set out all the financial outstanding liabilities that you need. It could be bills that you haven't paid, like gas, electricity, or council tax. So include all of that, because it will show to the Home Office that you really can't afford to make payment for the Home Office fees. And then it says, and then I've included, I am therefore applying for a fee waiver for our applications. So it can be for my applications. Okay, so again, this needs to be changed according to your situation. So in this case, it's a mother applying for 3 children, and I've used her letter to give you an example on how you can come up with the letter. So it says, I'm therefore applying for fee waiver as I do not have any means to pay for the Home Office fees, which would mean I would be illegally staying in the UK if I'm unable to renew our limited leave to remain. If you require further information, that's all. That's all you have to do for the letter. So it doesn't have to be extremely long. It depends on your type of application. It may be that you've overstayed and you're now wanting to, wanting to regularize your stay, but you continue to have, you don't have any money to um, to to pay for the home office fees. So this is the letter that you can use. And if you have any questions to ask, you can email or contact me to get some, if you want some support on drafting your letter. But the main thing is, if you have come up with a letter, make sure that it is actually understandable, it's clear. And if you are not confident with your English written uh, written ability, you can ask someone who may be able to help you, and see if they can ask, and see if you can ask them to read your letter and correct the letter before you submit your application. It's always good practice to make sure that whatever you send to the home office, it makes sense, okay? Because otherwise, if you're just writing a letter for the sake of writing, but it doesn't it's confusing, it's not clear what you try to say, wrong spellings all over, then it's not going to be very helpful if you're going to do that, because somebody, the caseworker reading it will um, may get confused. So it's best to ask someone to reread it for you and correct the letter so that it is in a format where everything is clear, and what you're trying to say comes across, and the home office caseworker understands what you are saying. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.